Good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to call to order the Thursday, June 28th full board meeting. First item on the agenda is Pledge Allegiance. Please rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Item number 3, roll call. Please check in. No, he wasn't. He did last time. Did you?
He did it because someone wasn't going to do it last time.
Oh, someone else want to do it?
Romano has always got one.
Joe, would you like to take over for Commissioner Carabelli on item number 4? Invocation? Sure. Thank you. Sorry for the late notice. Item number 4, invocation. Commissioner Carabelli was due for it. He's out of town. Commissioner Romano is going to take his place. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Dear God, please bless our elected officials. Grant them wisdom and courage to do what is right for all citizens. Amen.
Amen. Item number 5, adoption of the agenda. Need a motion to adopt. Moved by Commissioner Brown, supported by Commissioner Myjak. Please vote. Motion passes. Item number 6, approval of minutes dated June 14, 2018. Need a motion to approve.
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Toko, supported by Commissioner Drolet. Any discussion? Seeing none, please vote. Motion passes. Item number 7, public participation. If anyone, a member of the public, would like to speak, you have 5 minutes. Any member of the public? Going third time, any member of the public? Seeing none, we're going to close public participation. Move to item number 8, correspondence from the Office of County Executive. I think we all got some correspondence in the last couple of weeks from the office, but we'll keep that. And we'll move on to item number 9, presentations. Introduction of Huron-Clinton Metro Parks Director Amy McMillan. Amy, welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for inviting me this afternoon. My name is Amy McMillan. I have been the director of the Huron-Clinton Metro Park since April 30th of this year. Although I just started the job recently, this is really, this is like coming home for me. In 1988, 30 years ago this summer, I was an intern at Metro Beach Metro Park, and I lived here in Mount Clemens on a side street in a converted garage with a guardrail for a front yard. So I am here to tell you, if you have people in your life who feel like they're starting at the very bottom of an organization and will never be able to work their way to the top, have them give me a call, because I can tell them that with hard work, those kind of dreams do come true. And I am delighted to be back at the Huron-Clinton Metro Parks. I spent the last 19 years as the director of the Genesee County Parks and Recreation Commission in Flint, Michigan. The Genesee County Parks is the largest county park system in the state, but we only had 11,000 acres. And here at the Huron-Clinton Metro Parks, we have 25,000 acres. And I'd like to take just a little bit of time today to bring you up to date, or to perhaps even reintroduce you to the Metro Parks. You probably know the good-looking, smart-looking guy at the bottom right, John Paul Rhea. He is the commissioner who represents Macomb County on our 7-member board of, I'm not going to tell him, our 7-member board of commissioners at the Metro Parks, one of which represents each of the 5 counties and 2 of whom are appointed by the governor. There are 13 Metro Parks in 5 counties throughout southeastern Michigan, and we cover, as I said before, 25,000 acres. Each year we have approximately 7.3 million visitors throughout the Huron-Clinton Metro Parks. One of the questions that is always of interest to people is how the Metro Parks are funded. The Metro Parks are 75 years old this year, and 75 years ago the legislature put together an act that created the Metro Parks and also created a funding system for us that was 1/4 mil in perpetuity. With Headley rollbacks, we're at 0.2135 in this current fiscal year, and we're expecting a rollback again next year. The revenue from our property taxes really peaked in 2008, like I think all local units of government, and has been reduced by about $5 million in value since that time, but we're happy to see property values going up every year and our millage revenue with it. The rest of our revenue comes largely from the sale of our passes, whether they're daily passes or annual passes to come into the metro parks. We also have some fee-based programs and amenities, and we receive a considerable number of grants to supplement our budget. This is how the property taxes look by county. About 18% of the property taxes that we collect come from right here in Macomb County. This is our general fund budget. You'll notice that expenditures are slightly larger than revenues in our current budget. And that's because we've been working hard to build up our fund balance over the course of several years. And this year we've taken several millions of dollars out in order to do some capital projects in the metro parks, things that we were falling behind on, and before deferred maintenance caught up with us any further, we wanted to get some of that work done. When you look at our revenue and expenses by county, Macomb County comes out at the very top of the list in terms of the revenue generated for the metro parks and the expenses within the metro parks themselves. The metro parks that are located here in Macomb County are, of course, Lake St. Clair, which many of you might remember more fondly as Metro Beach, Wolcott Mill, and Stony Creek. One of the recent most important and most, I think, most appreciated features at Lake St. Clair Metro Park is the playground that we built last year. It is barrier-free, so kids of all abilities can use it. And we have seen, this year we've seen an increase in the number of people who are coming to Lake St. Clair during the week. And we really think that that's attributed mostly to the new playground there, that it's greatly appreciated. The project costs about $2.3 million. Lake St. Clair is also really well known for the work that we've done to restore the marshes around it. The Black Creek Marsh Restoration Project was through grants from NOAA and has really done a lot to restore the balance of the ecosystem within Lake St. Clair. I think of interest to everybody within certainly within Macomb County and throughout the entire region is the beach at Lake St. Clair. And you may or may not have heard the news today, but we got notification from the health department earlier today that the beach is closed today for swimming. Apparently beaches all along the shoreline are closed due to a spike. We had low numbers the last several weeks, but we had a spike at 1,600 today. We will be testing again today, and hopefully we'll have good results for tomorrow so we can reopen. But one of the things that the Metro Parks is doing to solve this problem, which we know is a multi-layered problem, is to work with other agencies. And the Heart Lab at Wayne State is one of those organizations that is going to be working with us. They are beginning to set up on site now, and they'll be ready to begin their work in the fall of this year. You might know that we do several things at Lake St. Clair to help reduce some of the things that are thought to be contributing factors to the E. coli issue, and they're known not to be really great experiences in the parks. And of course, goose poop is at the top of that list. Our goose busters, Miss Ellie and her team have done a remarkable job in encouraging the geese to go elsewhere. Sorry.
Not on our beach.
Yeah, I couldn't help myself. I apologize. And at the very least, we know that it's improving the experience when you're at the park and particularly on the beach. We were hoping today really to spend our time bragging about those numbers, but if you don't mind, we'll move right along. One of the things that we've been working on very hard too at Lake St. Clair is to do more green infrastructure within the park. And you'll notice that we have used permeable paving wherever possible. We're doing swales throughout the parks, everything that we can to keep that stormwater from running off into the system. Wolcott Mill Metro Park is just a really lovely treasure. In fact, I came from there today. It's listed on the National Register of Historic Places, and it's one of the few remaining mills anywhere that creates feed through the grist mill. whoops, feed mills. Yikes. Thank you. Um, so, as I said, I just came from Wolcott Mill, and you'll see on Facebook a little bit later this afternoon, we had a brand new baby born. She's, I believe, a Guernsey. We are one of the only places that we know of in Michigan where you can find all 6 breeds of milking cows. It's a nice, my family is a farming family, and at one time my grandfather had a super large dairy herd, so I love being around a dairy farm again. Wolcott Mill is also one of the areas that has really lovely equestrian trails. In southeastern Michigan, it's really difficult to find land to ride horses on. That land keeps shrinking and shrinking. And so we're really proud to be able to provide 10 miles of trails through the woods and meadows along the Clinton River. Some of you have probably been to the holiday event at Wolcott Mill. I've not yet been there myself, but I'm really looking forward to it. It's a great tradition in this area. The Hippo Trippo slide is actually, in 2016, when it was installed, was the largest inflatable water slide in the U.S. Every year there's a bigger, better slide, so I can't tell you if ours is still the biggest, but it's 50 feet high and 250 feet long. And in 2016, over 100,000 people used it. And I'm guessing it's going to feel like 100,000 people this weekend if 96 degrees is, in fact, our high. In 2017, we began a partnership with a company called Go Ape. They're out of Great Britain, and they have an adventure course at Stony Creek. I've not yet been on it, although it looks like a lot of fun. It's on my list. Of course, golfing is one of the things that the metro parks do best, and Stony Creek is no exception to that. We've recently made a large investment in the golf cart paths at Stony Creek. In 2017, we spent about $1.2 million to improve the golfing experience there. Biking trails, mountain biking trails, just biking trails, walking trails, all things trails are incredibly important to the residents of southeastern Michigan. And we work really hard to continue to expand those trails, to make different opportunities available to people, and to also make connections. We have 14 miles of trails at Stony Creek. We're partnering with CRAMBA, which is the Mountain Biking Association of the Clinton River Area Mountain Biking Association. And the Sheldon Trails will be under construction a little bit later this year, thanks to some grant dollars. All of the metro parks are home to really great nature centers. And one of the great things that I think stands out about Stony Creek and also Lake St. Clair, and I believe Willow, is the Voyager Canoe Program. I'm old enough that I remember the summer that started, and it is still as popular today as it was at the beginning. I mentioned the Sheldon Trail earlier. This is, if you've not been to Stony Creek and seen the Sheldon Trail, it's definitely worth the drive to go there. It's just majestic when you stand in the middle of those trails and those huge tall trees. It's an incredible feeling. It's sort of its own place out of time. We have an event called Howling at the Moon coming up later this fall. We hope you'll join us there. It's part of our fundraising effort. And you can see that we have several community partners that are helping fund that initiative. You might know that the last few years have been a little bit rough on the metro parks. And so we are working really to regroup and refocus on who we are. And who we are is the metro parks. If you come to the metro parks, you should see and have that renewed sense of pride and purpose among our employees. We have always been extraordinarily proud, and rightfully so, of the great programs that we do throughout the community. Our school trip programs, our field trip programs have an extraordinary number of kids who participate in them every year. In the 2017-2018 school year that just ended, 30,705 students participated in 792 school programs. These are programs that will connect people to the natural environment for their entire lives and make them incredible stewards of the resources that we're so lucky to have. We started a new program called TENS that's been funded by 3M. I had an opportunity to see the groups come together earlier this spring and to see kids be connected to technology and nature and really understand science and what it has to do with them and the opportunities it has for them in their greater lives is really an extraordinary thing. This year we brought back the Get Out and Play program. I don't know if you were familiar with it last year, but we rolled it out almost 2 weeks ago. It's a program where we invited nonprofits and youth-serving organizations, whether they were public or private, to apply for small grants. And through that grant program, we paid for the transportation for kids to come. We pay for them to either swim or use the splash pad or one of our nature programs, or if they go to Lower Huron, they can use Turtle Cove, and we also provide lunch to them. That program sold out in about a week and a half. So we have a couple of thousand kids that are coming to the Metro Parks this summer who may never have come before. One of the things you may not know about the Metro Parks is that we employ about 1,000 people and change. This year, right now, we're at 1,066 full-time employees and a large base of seasonal and part-time employees. Of that 1,066 people, 23% of them live right here in Macomb County. So we are a large employer in the area. The people who work for the Metro Parks are contributing to the economy, and we hope contributing to the world in a bigger way from the Metro Parks. And that's what I have to share with you today. I just wanted to reintroduce you to the Metro Parks, introduce myself to you, answer any questions or concerns that you might have, and let you know that we're always open and available to talk with you at any time. If you have questions that your constituents have, please feel free to direct them right back to our office, or we'll be happy to work with you to answer those questions for you.
Thank you, Amy. I have a few
welcome.
speakers. I will tell you that it's going to be quite a few years before I can get used to Lake St. Clair Metro Park.
I
But-
have the same challenge. I know I referred to it as Metro Beach at a board meeting a couple weeks ago.
Anyway, Mr. Commissioner Brown.
Thank you. Welcome to the board.
Thank you.
What's your budget compared to last year? What's your total operating budget?
Our total operating budget is just under $50 million.
Okay. And you said your expenses were above the revenue this year. How does that trend over the last couple of years?
I don't have a lot of information from the last couple of years. I can tell you our budget has been relatively stable. We've not taken dollars out of fund balance typically. One of the things that the Metro Parks does in its budget that's a little bit difficult to track, and we're changing that format next year, is that whenever we've had a line item that was not fully spent, for example, or we made a purchase that came in under budget, we would automatically just transfer those dollars into the fund balance. And then when the next project came up, we would take them out. So it's really difficult to project or to fairly state this is what our fund balance is. There are parts of it that are encumbered. It looks really large, over $40 million. But of that $40 million, only about $18 million of it is unencumbered.
Are you planning on changing that accounting system to better reflect what's going on?
We are. We expect that in the next fiscal year, and our fiscal year is a calendar year, that we will have a capital fund so that all capital projects come out of a single fund. And so instead of, at the end of, capital projects typically take more than 1 year. They get bid in the spring. Sometimes they can get constructed in a year. Sometimes they can't. Sometimes if they're dollars that are associated with grants come in at a certain time, but you have to get a grant agreement signed, and a grant project may take place over the course of several years. So instead of consistently putting that money into fund balance and taking that money out of fund balance, those dollars will go in a capital fund that will go from year to year rather than flowing back into and out of the fund balance. So yeah, you should see a change in that in our fiscal year 2019.
I have 2 metro parks in my district, and they've been part of my life since I was growing up out there. So I definitely care about the metro parks. And funding you've always had a plenty healthy funding going to them because you've got the millage that's been dedicated to you for a long period of time. At one point, there was some of the metro parks golf courses are privately owned. But why they were at one time? Stony Creek, for example, was once run by a private company. When was the decision made, or you don't know, you weren't here, but You gotta, has there been any recent discussion about privatizing those golf courses so we'd have more revenue to direct towards other things rather than run the golf course?
So we have looked, I'm aware that we've looked at privatization in the past, in the not too distant past. And really, from what I understand, the cost revenue basis is we come out better running the golf courses ourselves than we do using a private vendor. I know that some courses within the metro parks were at one time privately owned. Some of them have been operated by a concessionaire in the past. But typically that hasn't been the best business decision for the metro parks, as I understand it,
Based on what you know,
based on what I know.
which is not enough. What about the law enforcement? Many of our local townships are using Macomb County as their source of, police protection. Rather than doing their own department, they contract with the county to patrol them. Why doesn't the Metro Park consider doing that for your purposes here in our county? You've got the sheriff, got a dispatch and everything else. It would relieve you of a considerable amount of cost, at least in the counties that offer that, and we
Yeah.
certainly do.
So I can't speak specifically to Macomb County or to the other, because I've been here for 2 months. But I can tell you that from my experience in Genesee County, where we also had our own police department within the county parks, that it was much more cost effective for us to have a police department than to contract with a local unit. Also, one of the
How could that be without the liability and overhead? I don't understand how that could possibly be.
if you run the numbers of using seasonal employees and provisional employees in addition to full-time employees, typically it's less costly to run a department within the parks than it is to contract. Additionally, the two things that are most important to people in park systems are public safety and park maintenance. When with our own park police force, they are dedicated to the parks. They are always there. If we were to contract with a local unit as to provide a certain number of dollars a patrol, those local officers, and rightly so, are always going to go to the local calls and prioritize those calls first. In the Metro Parks safety is Metro Parks' first business.
Well, it depends what the agreement is, what agreement you reach with the county on that. That's negotiable. But they're doing a lot of investments in Stony Creek Metro Park right now. The beach there, that whole buildings were torn down. Do you know what's going on there?
I
just
do.
know, you know,
Actually, I think you're talking about Stony Landing, which is the
used-
area where
used
the
to be
boat launches
used to be
are.
the Bay Point Beach is what it used to be called.
Oh, so there are a couple of big projects on the water. Bay Point Beach, last year or the year before, the shower house was torn down, as I understand it. There was not a plan in place at that time to rebuild. There is now, and I believe it will be. It should be constructed by the end of 2019.
Okay. Thank you very much for your
You're
question. Thank
welcome.
you, Commissioners, for indulging me. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, you're a popular guest. We have a lot of speakers.
Excellent.
Commissioner Kleinfeld.
Thank you, Chair. I just have one question. If most of the non-tax revenue is generated in Macomb County, that's an indication to me that there's a lot more activity and it's a lot busier here. Why would the number of employees be at 23% if the revenue from the non-taxable revenue is so much higher?
Oh, 23% of the people who work in the metro parks live in Macomb County. So we don't. So of that 1,066 people, they may people who work at Lake St. Clair might live in Wayne County or Oakland County, or people who live at our office may live in other places. We don't.
Okay.
There's no residency associated with a work requirement.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Commissioner Romano.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair. Hi, Amy.
Hi.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Seems like we got the right girl. I don't say farm girl, but it seems like we got somebody who's not afraid of insects or snakes or whatever else they bring. You've seen it all, I imagine.
I'm not fond of snakes, but I'm not afraid of them.
Highlighting what Commissioner Brown mentioned about enforcement or police security there. Metro Parks is fortunate enough to have as their police chief there, Chief Mike Reese, who was our former chief of police in Sterling Heights and had nothing but outstanding service with us, and they were very, very fortunate to get him.
He's the best.
And I've talked to Michael many times, and he said there is security needs at the park that need to be taken care of immediately, that it would behoove them to try to get outside sources to come in. By the time they would get there, his men have already taken care of the situation, or women take care of the situation. So I understand where Amy's coming from in respect to that. My question was actually I have two. Let's talk about the beach closings at Metro Beach that are too often we're hearing about. So our new commissioner, Ms. Miller, Commissioner Miller, has tried to rectify that by virtue of the drains that we're having and taking care of it. Yesterday, we had a terrific downpour here in Macomb County, which was very funny because my wife was up almost by Lakeside where they allow the dogs at, the shopping center where they allow the...
Partridge Creek.
Yeah, Partridge Creek wasn't a drop. And here I had to pull over the side of the road, it was raining so hard. So I remember, and I hear this many times, when we have a terrific rainfall like that, for some reason or another, something is dumped into Metro Beach. And I'm trying to figure out, have we gotten a handle on that? I mean, have you spoken to Commissioner Miller? Is there something that we can do as commissioners that could help rectify the situation?
Sure. So we are working with the Macomb County Health Department and partnering with them. You might have noticed there have been a couple of other beach closings since the beginning of the season in St. Clair Shores. And so the problem exists around the lakefront. Usually in Genesee County, we had some long-standing issues with beach closures. And we found that there are multiple layers to being able to solve those issues. And I expect that the same thing is true at Lake St. Clair, which I'm probably going to refer to as Metro Beach occasionally, and I'll ask you to forgive me for that. So one of the things that the Heart Lab is there to help us start identifying what the E. coli, what the source of the E. coli is, if it's people, or if it's birds, if it's dogs, if it's
Septic tanks?
any of those sorts
septic
of things,
tanks.
right? But they won't be able to start doing that until the fall. And so we have made a commitment that, and we'll be doing it this week, clearly from yesterday's samples, as samples start to climb, that we are going to have them DNA tested so that we can get a sense of what that is from. Because I think the thing you see most of is the geese, but there are just not enough geese to be that big a
agree.
problem.
I agree.
One of the other things about E. coli is that the manner in which it's tested and reported is really not connected necessarily to the real world. It's certainly not in real time. So right now you take a sample and we take it to the health department ships it out, we get the results the next day. So the 1,600 count is from yesterday. It could be 6 today. Or the 1,600 count could have been at one area in the water and not at another. And so, because all you really know is what's in that particular sample. So as we start being able to do real-time sampling next year, we'll have a much better idea of what the conditions are all of the time. And that will also help us to adjust closures. Because we might be able to test in the morning and later in the afternoon. And it will also help alleviate that issue of the 30-day average, because that's what really will start killing us right about now. Because the daily count in which you have to close is 300 parts per million. But over 30 days, if you exceed an average of 120, you must close until such time as that number drops beyond 120. So last year, it's my understanding, we had about 40 days of closing, and that there was a big, long stretch of that toward the end of the season. But that was primarily because we had such a high spike, we couldn't get below the 30-day mean. Our numbers started dropping consistently below 300, but because they were so far over that 120 mark, we couldn't get out of it. And if you get to the end of July, you're kind of out of luck all the way through Labor Day. So part of it is just the science and the reporting and being able to really understand what's going on within the system. And it's really great that we have such really strong partnership here in Macomb County. As part of this partnership with the health department right now, we're doing a really comprehensive review of data from the last several years. That's not been done. We'll layer on top of that what we learn about the DNA sampling. And then there's a group, a multifaceted group, multidisciplinary group that is working with some funding that I understand is GLRI funding out of the EPA. And we might possibly do some changes at the beach in terms of the geography of the topography, pardon me, of the beach itself. But we really want to understand what the problem is before we do that. Nobody wants to spend a $5 million grant and not solve the problem.
I'm with you 100%. It's got to cause a lot of cost to you as far as revenue is concerned too for that particular beach that's closed, because people will, who does not want to go into the water when they see something like that, they're going to stay away, and that's revenue that you could be collecting if they participated. One last question, I'll leave you alone, Amy.
Not
And
at all, go
incidentally, is this pretty good for 2 months on the job? Does this lady know what she's talking about? You're doing great, you really
Years
are.
of experience, but thank
Okay,
you.
let's talk about the equestrian trails.
Yes.
You're probably too young to remember Belle Isle when they used to have the little pony rides. Used to have the little pony carriages. People would pay to go around a certain circle with the...
I am happy to say I am too young to remember that. Thank you.
Touche!
Thank you.
So my question is, have we given any thought to that for additional revenue? I mean, that was very, very popular on Belle Isle.
So, fair disclosure, I have 2 horses of my own. They're boarded in Genesee County. There are a lot of changes in the standards on how animals are cared for. Typically, pony rides on a regular, like daily basis would be a difficult option, I think, to be able to use. They're more used for special events now because keeping horses out in the sun with a lack of water and those sorts of things is not necessarily in the best interest of their health. But certainly for special events, they're incredibly exciting, and seeing a child on a horse for the first time is a really magical thing.
I'm misleading you. I'm talking about the actual carriage ride. There was little buggies, 2 people to a buggy, 1 little horse, 1 small horse, or what do they call them? No, baby horse.
Well, they're miniature horses.
Pony, thank you, a pony.
Or ponies.
Small pony, 2 people to a carriage, an adult and a child, or you had to be a certain age. And they had a regular, it's just the same as like a boat livery. They only had it in stables, and it was a great revenue for Belle Isle.
No, we haven't talked about that, but we do have a pilot program this summer at Kensington with a local stable that's doing trail rides.
Okay.
We're just seeing
Very
to
good.
see how it works out, and we'll let you know when the summer's over.
Fair enough. Thanks, Amy. Thank
You're
you for the
welcome. Thank
information.
you.
That's all.
Thank you. Commissioner Leonetti.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Most of the questions with regard to the E. coli and the closings were answered, but I do have 2 specific questions. One is the fireworks. I am in Harrison Township, so right there by Lake St. Clair.
Sure.
Why no fireworks this year?
Well, we have 5 fireworks shows throughout the metro parks,
Okay.
throughout the 13 metro parks. And my understanding is there are a couple of, well, you're saying no, there are no fireworks at Lake St. Clair. We had
Correct.
fireworks at Stony Creek on Friday night,
Okay.
which was complete misery. And I think there were about 6 people there in the weather because it was so bad.
But specifically for Lake St. Clair.
Yeah, at Lake St. Clair, we decided that we weren't going to compete with other local shows. It's super expensive to do the fireworks, particularly for the security and for the maintenance.
Okay.
We are talking about next year, though, trying to move some of our shows a little bit closer to the holiday. A full week and a half out at Stony Creek and Willow, I think, was a lot. Plus, the weather just was not our friend this weekend.
So primarily because of Mount Clemens and St. Clair Shores, you guys
Correct.
just felt, okay,
Yeah.
fair enough. I've had a lot of constituents ask me,
Oh.
hey, how come there's none in St. Clair? So the other thing I'm glad to see is that you have the Michigan Philharmonic coming. Are they
do.
going to do that on the beach like they
I
used?
believe that's where we'll be. That's where
Okay.
the event traditionally is. I may not be old enough to remember the pony carts at Belle Isle, but I was at the summer I was here was the first year that the symphony
Yeah, the
played
DSO?
at the
Yeah, it
at
was
the Metro
cool.
Parks.
That was really
It's a
neat. I enjoyed that, too.
spectacular experience.
One last question is kind of, did you know Ron Balderson when you worked there back in 1988?
I don't think so.
Okay,
I
no
might have, but It was
It's
a
30 years ago. I hear
was a
you.
long time ago.
I'm about your age. I'm
Yeah.
about your age, not Romano's age.
Well, I was only 6 years old at the time.
Oh well, no, you
So,
wouldn't have known
yeah,
Ron. Then, no,
a little
then,
fuzzy.
Then I'm. Yeah. Thank you. Nice
Thank
meeting
you.
you. Take
Nice
care.
meeting you.
Great. Now that we have your neighborhood fireworks taken care of and your pony rides being looked into, Commissioner Sauger.
Yeah, what Joe is talking about, he used to walk the horses around the circle. That's why he's familiar with Belial. Yeah, but I want to tell you, I'm that 23% that you said come out of Macomb County.
Yes.
That's a small number. When you figure the area we got, I think it's a small number.
Well,
And
we
you got
have
no control over it, but I'm just telling you, my opinion.
we have 5 counties, and so 23% is a little bit higher than dividing them equally. But we were pretty. This is the first time we've run that stat, so it was the first time we've actually seen it. So
Okay, and the other questions, when you close Metro Beach, are you closing all the beaches down into St. Clair and all the way north as far as our property goes, or what?
we don't have any authority over any property other than the beach at Lake St. Clair. So
Okay.
is it Veterans Memorial Beach in St. Clair Shores, I know, is closed. And there are a few others. The health department samples separately at each of the beaches and only makes the determination based on that particular beach as to whether it stays open or must be closed.
Okay, so the other beaches could be open.
They could be, but I know at least 2 of them are not.
Okay. It's got me, because you went over it real fast, it's got me confused.
I'm sorry.
What cleans it up, so, go
Oh.
on, you got some other speakers, thank you.
Sure.
All right. Commissioner Drolet.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you for your presentation. Appreciate it very much. Of the 1,066 employees, how many of those are full-time employees?
About 240.
Okay, about 240 of them. And the budget you said is 50 million approximately?
Give or take, yes.
Okay. And those employees work directly for the Metro Parks independently. They don't work in any way for a county
They
of
do
any
not.
sort.
They are Metro Park employees.
Okay. And do you know if they're if the full-time employees with their benefit package, do they receive a defined contribution or defined benefit pensions?
Most of our employees now are in the defined benefit program.
Okay.
There may be 1 or 2, a very small number, who are left in the defined contribution
Well, I
defined
think you've got
I'm
that
sorry, let me get
flipped.
that correct. Almost all of our employees now are in the defined contribution program.
So new hires, are they only offered then the defined?
Yes, we
okay.
are.
Thank you very much.
You're
Appreciate your
welcome.
help. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Commissioner Lucido.
Hi, Amy. Thank
Hello.
you for coming today. Just a couple quick questions. For the DNA testing, who
Yes.
does that?
Wayne State.
That's what I was.
Yeah.
Okay. I figured they were part of that. They're good for partnering for things like that. And also the Kensington Trail rides, those are where people don't bring their own horses? You can go and do horse riding?
You can go and do horse riding Wednesday through Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
They're in the large hay meadow that's about halfway into the park.
Okay.
And if you, I want to say it's called Equine Adventure, Equine Expressions. Just give our office a call. We'll link you over to them.
Okay, sounds great. Oh, one more thing. On your slides, it was at the very beginning. Now I can't, I was looking to see if we had the slides in here somewhere, but we don't. There was one portion that had, I believe it was where your funding comes from, and there
Yes.
wasn't a color coding for where it said 2%. It was like a green color.
It's going to be on the pie graphs.
Yeah, it was right at the
let's see
beginning.
if
It
I
was
can
pie
move.
graph. I thought maybe it could have been, that's where grants would have been,
It probably is.
but it just wasn't
I'm
labeled,
sorry,
so
I'm
I
gonna have
wanted
to go
to
all the
just
way back.
ask that again. It was way at the beginning.
I might be able to slide this over, but I'm not. Come on, buddy.
I love the dogs, by the way.
I know. Like the dog should be there always.
They ask the geese to leave.
I have a dog that looks very similar to that, but she is nowhere near that well behaved.
Mine would not be.
Okay.
There we go, 2.7. Oh,
Oops, darn
back
it.
again.
2.7, the 2.7% is grants and donations.
That's what I
Yeah.
thought. It wasn't labeled, so I questioned
Or-
that. Thank you.
And it's not percent, it's dollars.
Dollars,
Yeah.
gotcha. Okay, thank you, I appreciate it.
You're welcome, thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Great.
Thank you.
Seeing no other speakers, I'd like to thank you again and congratulations, welcome.
Thank you very much.
And thanks for coming. And
You are
I
welcome.
need a motion to receive and file. Moved by Brown, supported by Romano. Any more discussion? Please vote. Amy, thank you very much.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Okay, motion passes. Have a item 9B. We need to have a presentation on yoga at the Hill, an update by Laura. So,
There's a video.
yeah.
There's a video.
Yeah, Rob in his yoga pants. Uh-oh. Yes, there are. Great. Laura, it's all yours.
Thank you. Hello, commissioners. I'm Laura Murphy. Just wanted to give you guys a quick, brief overview of our Yoga at the Hill event this year. This was our third annual Yoga at the Hill event. Every year we've had it in June at Freedom Hill. And this year was on Saturday, June 9th. And this was just the classes that were offered in the times. Some quick stats this year, we had 309 people pre-register to attend. You do not have to pre-register, you can just walk up. There are incentives, aka giveaways, if you do pre-register, but it's not required. But yes, we had 309 pre-register, 150 people checked in that attended. There could have been a few that were missed at check-in, but approximately 150 people attended. And I'll talk a little bit later about why that number we feel was a little bit lower this year. The number of resource providers that were scheduled to attend, we had 14 tables reserved. 12 of them did attend. And we also had 2 sponsors, which meant that they either donated monetarily or with a large donation of a giveaway or handout. Commissioners that donated and participated, we had 12. All of these numbers, except the second one, the number of people that checked in, were increased from the previous 2 years. So we have growth in all of those areas. The Yoga at the Hill event, each year so far, we've partnered with Bodhi Seed Yoga, which I know most of you are already familiar with. Jasmine is the owner, so her and her staff volunteer to teach the classes. It's worked out well that she has enough between her staff and our volunteers that covers our entire event as far as staffing. We also, each year so far, have had our DJ Dave Malloy, do the sound. He gives us this at a very deep discount to help us out, so we always want to just give a special thanks to him and acknowledge him. The last 2 years, we've had Mike Murray from the Carrot team in attendance. Carrot is the app that our Health Styles, the County Health Styles, has partnered with that you can have on your phone for improved health among county employees. They offer an incentive for county employees that attend this event. They get a special gold coin just for attending. It's done by GPS if they check in. So, and they were also in attendance for the people that just came to participate. Okay, and here we have a short 3-minute highlight video for you. Oh. The play button's there, but when I click it, it's not playing. That's her.
Oh, crap. Oh, great. Why is it doing that?
Do you want me to just bring it up on? Oh, there. Oh,
Oh, it's like,
bring it up on Google Chrome real quick.
no.
I can flip back.
I should be able to play from here. Oh, yeah, I get it. Hold on.
There you go. All right. Thanks, Mike. She's not in the highlight video. I have pictures I can share later. Okay. So after the event this year, this was something we did new. We sent out a quick 7-question survey to all of the people that pre-registered for the event. So if they had registered, whether they attended or not, they got this survey. And out of the, I believe it was 309 people, we got 50 responses, which we thought was fairly good for having to fill out a survey. So this is just a summary of the results. Out of the 50, 43 said that they did attend, 7 didn't. And this is where that number kind of comes into play. The forecast for that day was awful. The weather did somewhat hold out. It only drizzled, but the forecast the whole week leading up to it was not favorable. So unfortunately, we feel a lot of people that had pre-registered did not come because of that. Another reason that was listed for the reason that they didn't attend was that something came up. We asked them how they heard about Yoga at the Hill. The vast majority of responses were that they heard it from their yoga instructor or at their yoga class. This year, something else new that we did was we advertised it a lot more on Facebook. We boosted our posts, got it out there, and obviously that reflected in these results as well. We also sent out emails, people that attended previously, friends, and then there were a few that said they had heard it directly from their commissioner. This was an interesting question. A lot of the majority of people that attended had not attended previously, so we're reaching new people and getting it out there that way as well. The major responses for what was their favorite part were all of it. The instructors, they liked that it was outside, free t-shirts, trying the different yoga, and that we also had the Payo demonstration, that it was free. They were given free water and snacks. There was kids yoga available, the vendors and free massages. So it's definitely based on this list, it seemed like there was a lot of free things that people liked. The best method for finding out about future events, email, Facebook, social media, local news stations, as well as in the city and township newspapers, hearing it word of mouth and through other yoga studios. And suggestions for future Yoga at the Hill events. A lot of people responded that they would like more than one. A lot of people also responded to know that it's in rain or shine and under a pavilion. We did send out notification of that, but that was right before the event. From the start, we're going to advertise next year that this is under a pavilion, it's covered, and it's rain or shine, so people aren't so deterred from that. Some people suggested doing the basic class first, wanted more vendors, having the ability to purchase things, having other yogis walking around to assist people, and offering more classes and expanding to something like Zumba, like we did the Payo this year. So in summary, this event was successful. Like I said, all of our numbers had increased except attendance due to the weather. We plan to emphasize that the event is rain or shine, and we are looking to add additional vendors, advertise it more and in different places this year, as well as taking into account the answers from the survey that we sent out, since we did get a good response from it. So that's all I have. Are there any questions?
Thank you, Laura. You guys did a great job with this,
Thank you.
and I will say that we were there and the weather was really good compared to what happens. Everybody looks at their phone nowadays, and no one sticks their head out the window. I mean,
Yeah.
you looked outside and you saw that the weather was nice, but your phone still said 60% chance of rain. So
Right.
I'm sure that's the reason that a lot of people didn't show up, because I know the last few years have been
Right.
probably
We've had
double that
great
amount.
attendance, yes.
I just wanted to make a note that Patty's son, Ben, actually created the video for us. He always comes and does a lot of video work for free for us. And I love the fact that you guys did the questions in the question 7 on what they would recommend, because all of them seem like good, reasonable recommendations, and I'm sure we'll incorporate them into next year. So thank you very much. I don't have any, I have a speaker.
Just that I do have pictures of Patty. If you want them for the website,
Yes,
I will be
I'm sure she
delivering
edited
them.
that video, so we did not see her in there. Great. Thanks. So I need a motion to receive and file. Moved by Kraft, supported by Romano. Please vote. I do have to say I can't help but think of Yogi and Boo Boo every time you say Yogi. Motion passes. Thank you again, Laura. Item number 9C, presentation of a proclamation commemorating the 85th anniversary of Group Stall. Commissioner Kraft will be presenting this.
Well, first off, I just want to thank you both for coming today to receive this proclamation. It's a proclamation commemorating the 85th anniversary of Group Stall. Can I say it like that? I'm a little German, so I get the Stall. I'm not going to read all of it, but I'm going to take little tidbits out of here. Whereas Group Stall is a leading international manufacturer, distributor, and direct supplier in the field of custom textile printing. The past 85 years brought many other firsts and notable accomplishments for Group Stall, including the first thermoplastic adhesive Plastibac in 1951, the first green lettering and numbering material thermofilm in 1977, the first water jet in 1984, becoming a licensed supplier to the NHL in 1997, that's my favorite, the NBA in 1998, and the NFL in 2002, and in more recent years, the Hotronics Air Fusion Heat Press Caddy, dual air fusion, and laser alignment system. Wow. Did I get that right? Okay, good. Whereas Group Stall has received various awards, accolades, and acknowledgments throughout these 85 years, including the National Sporting Goods Hall of Fame, Stitches Magazine Power 75 list, Michigan Sports Hall of Fame Comcast Award, Robert L. Scott Memorial Award for Sean Oakley of Stalls Canada, North Coast 99 list for Transfer Express, Nike Award for Stalls Decorating Fulfillment Center, and the Arbor Award for Group Stall Passport to Good Health Wellness Program. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Board of Commissioners, speaking for and on behalf of all county citizens, I present you with this proclamation. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Sure, absolutely.
Thank you very much. My name is Jan Starr. I'm the Chief Operating Officer at Group Stall. This is Erin Stall. She's a fourth-generation family member. We're very, very happy to be here today with you. And if I may say so, I had no idea that county government was so informative and entertaining. You know, the two presentations were just wonderful. On behalf of the Stall family, Group Stall Companies, and Stall's Automotive Foundation, which is our museum, you know, here in Macomb County, we thank the Macomb County Board of Commissioners very much for this recognition. Stall's at heart's a family company, and family companies in particular really enjoy being recognized this year. This is one heck of a thank you, you know, from you to us. We appreciate being employers and educators at the museum and residents of Macomb County. I wish I had the numbers, because in listening to your presentations of how many folks were here. We're a textile identity business. I wrote this. It's always a little hard to describe. We put numbers and letters on a lot of things, or designs and things. And specifically, if you go to Comerica Park or down to the Little Caesars, if you buy a jersey or a T-shirt or anything like that, there's a 99.9% chance that we put the numbers and letters on it. So we work with the 25,000 folks that have T-shirt shops in the country. We also work with Nike, Adidas, and Under Armour, and we're a licensee to all the major professional leagues. So it's a small business that went kind of big. Having said that, we have close to 2,000 employees in 10 countries, but in Macomb County is our home. Our flagship is planted here. We have over 450 individuals that work here. Again, I wish I had the numbers, you know, the folks that live here as well. We manufacture things in St. Clair Shores. We convert and distribute things and have an automotive museum in Chesterfield Township. And our global headquarters is located in Sterling Heights. For Erin, our Executive Chairman, Ted Stoll, the entire Stoll family, and our employees, we thank you again. We appreciate your ongoing support and, in particular, your role that plays in our success. And we also congratulate you and the county on your 200th anniversary. Thank you. It's really a pleasure being here today. Thank you. Thanks again. Thank you. Hey, darling.
Great. Mr. Starr and Aaron, thank you very much. Appreciate you having your business in Macomb County.
Okay.
Thank you. Congratulations.
It's great being here.
Need a motion to receive and file by Commissioner Kraft, supported by Commissioner Leonetti. Please vote. Okay, motion passes.
It's already been approved at a previous meeting.
Yeah, this was receive and file. So item number 10, motion passes, by the way, unanimous. Item number 10, Finance Committee recommendations. Great. Any discussion on any of those?
Something I don't think my packet has the information on these. For example, the postponed budget amendment for the Office of Senior Services. Is that in our packet somewhere?
Can you help me out here? Go ahead, Mike. Can you
Yeah,
speak
that's
to
a committee recommendation, so you've already received that information, and you'll find it on your iPad or on the electronic format, but we don't print the backup material for a second time.
Okay,
So that was provided to you yesterday, but we can also get you another copy.
thank you.
Any other discussion on this? We have a motion by Brown and support by Kraft to move item 10, A, B, and C in their entirety. And your, well, yes. Which ones did you vote no on in here? You voted C on the, okay, great. We will, how about if we have a motion to move A and B in their entirety, and then we'll move C separately. So we'll do the same members. Any discussion on this? Please vote. Okay, motion passes unanimously. Item 10C, need a motion to approve budget amendment for facilities and operations, moved by Leonetti, supported by Commissioner Romano. Please vote. What's the final one? Oh, there we go. Motion passes 11-1 with Commissioner Duje voting no. Item 11, resolutions. 11A, 11, so we need a motion to adopt 11A. Moved by Commissioner Drollet. 11A is Resolution 18552 regarding the transfer of surplus to the Macomb County, of the Macomb County Delinquent Tax Revolving Fund to the General Fund for County Road Repair Projects and Memorandum of Understanding. So I have a motion to adopt by Commissioner Drollet, motion to support by Commissioner Kraft. I'm going to see if there are any speakers on this, and seeing none, I do want to make mention that all this does is make this available for the executive and for the treasurer. It does not mandate any transfers or anything like that. It just is a tool that's available to them. So that being said, please vote. Okay, motion passes 11-1 with Commissioner Duje voting no. 11B, Resolution 18-1683, urging action to create a stricter regulations and enforcement for the maximum allowable truck weight limits to protect major roads and highways. Need a motion to adopt. Commissioner Lucido, supported by Commissioner Myjack. Any discussion on this? Commissioner Toko?
Just briefly, yesterday, all of the yes votes asked to be included in on this resolution, and I don't see that on this draft.
Okay. We'll make sure that that happens.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. Any other, I'm talking to you. Any other comments? Please vote. All right. 10-2. Motion passes 10-2 with Commissioner Kraft and Commissioner Drollet voting no. again. New business. Let's see. Any commissioners have any new business? Marv does? Yes, I'm sorry, Marv. I'm trying to find this on here, but go ahead, Commissioner Sauger.
Yeah, I did talk to Chair Smith before the meeting, and they're gonna set up a date when all the contingent from Macomb County are invited to a board meeting to discuss things in Macomb County in general. And this resolution that was just passed is one of them, the weights and stuff like that. So we gotta talk to them about healthcare, weights, anything in general that we have. So it's been many years since we all had them up here. They're all on summer vacation right now, so nobody's got an excuse. So I think it'll be a good town hall meeting with the board, on our board. Thank you.
Great. Any other new business? All right. I have a few things. Commissioner, I have a thank you note if you'd like to, read it. It's from Scott Smith. He just wrote a thank you note for our generous words in the proclamation, and that he was honored by both. And he wanted to thank you for the briefcase, and well, there's a lot here. It was very heartfelt thank you. I just wanted to point that out if anybody wants to come and take a look at it. We also have been, we all know that Mike O'Meara left us a while back, high and dry. I'm just kidding. He left us, and we've put out RFP for this, or not. We put out applications. We had 22 applicants. 6 were submitted, 6 applications and supplemental material were reviewed. 4 were selected. We went through everybody, and the person achieving the highest score, and quite honestly, she was head and shoulders above the rest. And I'll say that I almost expected this, but it was Courtney Flynn, who, if you guys used to work here, she worked here. She's moving back from Portland to Michigan. After she's left here, she's got her master's degree. She's public relations manager for a community out on the east or the west coast. She will be back here. When are we looking at that? Yeah, in about a month and a half, we'll be back, and we'll have another position for our public relations manager. We've had several discussions on that position and the new direction that she's going to be taking that, and I think all of you will enjoy working with her, and I think she has a lot of great ideas and a lot of help for all of us on our own public relations in our own community, and public relations as a board, and some other things that she'll be in charge of also. So if you have any questions, talk to Patty or I afterwards about her, and that is it for Courtney. There's one other thing that you guys just need to know about. Yesterday we had a long discussion over budgeting and our form of capital projects and what we're doing with capital projects. And we keep getting vaguely accused of holding up business in the county. And although we can never get those answers, I just want to point out that the Sheriff Department, we got a letter from them a while back that this was a request, and I'm going to give one to everybody. It was a request for budgeting for some jail thing that basically was so important that we were going to have prisoners on the street. I called the sheriff and asked him why they hadn't submitted anything to us. I mean, everybody's talking about all of this holding up government, but no one's submitting actual paperwork to us to ask us for the funds. And I discussed it with him. He said it's all set. The executive's going to be submitting this in July for their financing for some jail projects. But I want to hand this letter out to you, and just so you guys see what's been going on around here. And I think the misinformation that's being put out about our holding up of projects in the county. We did make that offer to him that if he had a project that was an emergency, please submit it to us, and we will, if we have to do the bypass process, we will. Otherwise, we'll put it on a proper agenda and deal with it immediately. So just so you know, there's a lot of that out there. I think you might need to, if you talk to different people in different departments, kind of explain to them that they need to put in the paperwork and make the request to us if they want their capital projects funded. And that's very simple. It's basic. We've laid it out how it's supposed to go. But I think it needs to be explained more. So if anybody has any questions or comments on that, I'll take them. Otherwise, I'm done with new business. And we're, great. Here, you want to pass these out, Patty? Yes. And I would go to any other new business?
I got
Oh, Marv,
one more
I'm sorry.
thing. I talked with the security guys and the deputies down there, that white van that's down there, it's in all our way, I know when we pull out, and somebody's gonna hit it sooner or later, but they're really bringing juveniles in.
Yep.
And so we gotta look in that parking structure downstairs, see how we can get them parked different than the way it is right now.
Put them in Elizabeth.
Easy.
The
Marv, thanks
chairman,
for,
give up your parking spot for them, we'll be okay.
There you go. Great. All right, any other new business? Seeing none, public participation, anybody from the public wishing to speak? Anybody from the public, third final time, seeing no one from the public? A motion to adjourn, I saw a hand over there first, Commissioner Drollet, supported by, no one else wants to second the motion, Commissioner Kraft. Please vote. Oh, it's music at the hill, right? Music at, right. Thank you. Motion passes, meeting adjourned.